Hi, my name is Smriti. I am a part of the Chaos Engineering module at Harness. In this video, you will understand how pod API latency, a chaos fault, can be used to determine the resilience of your applications. What is pod API latency? As the name suggests, it injects API request and response latency by starting the proxy server and redirecting the traffic. It helps understand how well your application handles delays in network and failures and how well it can recover when the network connectivity is restored. So basically, pod API latency creates situations wherein an API request takes longer than expected to respond. So when there is a delay, you can determine how well your application handles these kinds of delays or timeouts and how well error handling mechanisms have been implemented. Before you execute the experiment, ensure that your prerequisites are fulfilled. The first prerequisite is to ensure that you have Kubernetes version greater than 1.16. The second prerequisite is to ensure that your pods are healthy before and after injecting chaos, which means only during the chaos duration are the pods affected. To watch chaos in action, let us execute a chaos experiment that runs the pod API latency fault. Log into your Harness account or sign up and navigate to the chaos engineering module. Now click on chaos experiments and let us create a new experiment. Before this, if you are a new user, ensure that you have the appropriate permissions to create an experiment, edit an experiment, execute an experiment, and so on. You can contact your admin or go to project settings and create an appropriate role. Click new experiment, provide a name, select the Kubernetes infrastructure. If you are a new user, you may have to create an environment first and then an infrastructure, but I've previously created my environment, hence I'm selecting the same. Click next. Now select the infrastructure that you created previously. Click apply. Click next. And let's start with a blank canvas. Click add and search for the pod API latency fault. Click the fault and let us assign the parameter. Namespace refers to the location where your application is housed. Name refers to the name of the microservice within the application that is targeted. A new run will be scheduled. To understand how the front-end cart URL behaves when chaos is in action, let's go to the terminal. Our target is the front-end card service, so we will exec into this and observe the chaos in action. We will use the curl command to access the front-end URL and we'll use the date feature to get the timestamps. You can see that the chaos is in action right now. We requested for the front-end boutique URL at this timestamp. We received the response at this timestamp. You can see a 5-second latency in the request and response. To view chaos in action, let us navigate to the URL and access the front end of the URL. You can see that chaos is in action now. Let us navigate to the front end URL and inspect the element. You can see that it is taking around 5 seconds to respond back when chaos is in action. Once chaos has completed execution, let's see the amount of time it takes. You can see that it is only taking around 498 milliseconds. You see that the first probe failed whereas the second one passed. The first resilience probe tried to access the URL that was under chaos, whereas the second resilience probe referenced a different URL. To know how you can set up other tunables based on your application, go to the official documentation whose link is provided in the description box. Thank you.